Hi, Macho John Madden again, in the van. Oh, my dog is up. What is he up to now? Magic, what are you up to? This is gonna blow this video all day out, I think. He's coming, he's checking out his food. Are you hungry? You turned this down earlier. What are you looking for? There's water outside. There's milk outside. Do you wanna go outside? I think he's trying to get out of the van. There we go, out of the van. There's milk out there. He's crazy about milk. He didn't want it earlier. Okay, good. We're keeping that. We're keeping that. I don't know how that's going to work out. It may be crazy, but I'm inspired to keep it. Because it fits with the theme of this video, which is not having your act together. So I made 2 videos today about the power of Kundalini, and they're absolutely the real deal and good stuff. But I don't know, I guess I got self-conscious about I was bragging on myself too much or something, and felt a need to ground that with a more gritty, even more gritty, because I use the word gritty a lot, but part of what has reinforced that in myself was my encounter with the EST training in the 80s. It had to be the 80s. In Syracuse, New York, is where not where I took the training. I guess I took the training in like Boston. I bet it was Boston. Huh. Had to be Boston. Yeah. Because it was 2 weekends, and in the week in between, I think I went up to Maine. Where the hell did I go? I don't know, but it was on the East Coast. My buddy Mark Briggs. Mark, I'm going to try to track you down, babe. Would I love to see you again? What an impact this guy had on me. And he's the one who roped me into doing the S training. S training was so big in that era that there was a movie made kind of making fun of it called Getting It. And I think, wasn't it Burt Reynolds was in it, I think? Getting It. And what you got was, from these 2 long weekends of being locked in a room and they wouldn't let you go pee, they made you, they talk about the me generation and all the excesses of the personal growth movement of the 80s. But this was ferocious stuff. This was you just had to stay in that room and deal with it. And they confronted you with all this stuff, including mostly your own experience. Very diabolically devised to get you feeling your feelings and confronting who you are. And they would assault you, basically. I mean, it was the kind of thing I got such good stuff out of those 2 weekends. It was really breakthrough stuff for me, and I never encouraged anybody else to go back. And there was a whole big thing. They had all these follow-on courses and stuff, which I never did, and a whole lot of encouraging you to recruit other people. No. I never sent anybody else to it because it was so ferocious. I couldn't picture it being good for my friends, but it was good for me. So Mark, the way I met Mark was in Syracuse. We ran in some of the same circles, and Mark was so committed to integrity and to telling the truth. He called me, and I had a private practice office in this really awfully nice building downtown Syracuse, and I've always been a huge networker and always someone who loves to support other people. If I see somebody who's offering something good, I will pull out all the stops to help them succeed, just because it makes sense. I want my friends and other people to have access to them. So Mark called and set up a networking meeting with me in my office in this really lovely State Tower building, and I had made it very homey and sweet and big windows. It was awesome. And so Mark gets in my office, and we had never had a one-on-one conversation. We did not really know each other. And out of the chute, he says, so people tell me you're a great person to help support, and I have this business prosperity coaching that I want to build, and so you'd be a good one to help. The problem I have, he says, and he looks me straight in the eye, is I don't like you. That's bracing, huh? Boom, put it right out there. I don't like you. So I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I wanted to talk with you about it. So I loved it. I loved it that he was so real, and I honestly don't remember what it was he was saying he didn't like about me. But my hunch is he did not like me for all the right reasons. The whole business of being phony and too nice and too positive and not in touch with my aggression and stuff like that. I bet that was it. Because he was. He was the real McCoy. He was tough, obviously. And within a month, he was renting office space from me to do his coaching. And I was telling everybody about him. And then he broke up with his girlfriend and he moved into my nice house out in the country. And we had amazing experiences. And it was with him that I practiced being real. Because he was so real. But one of the ways I practiced was my son was there with me half the time. And he had a good buddy. And they were like 5. They'd play around the house. And Mark was moving in. When he was in the process of moving in. And I had to say something to him, and it was not in character for me at all, and especially as we're just embarking on this new relationship. It felt dangerous, but I had to, and I said, Mark, yeah, I think you're driving too fast around the house. There's kids playing here. I don't like it. There was a long pause, and Mark says, got it. Thanks. And he meant it. He meant it. He was that guy, that kind of guy. And he badgered me to do the S training. He just really felt it would be really good for me. And for some reason, I can't remember why, one day I decided, okay, it's time, I'm going to do it. I said, Mark, I'm going to do the S training. And he says, great, let's party. So we got together that night, went out to his camp and got high on marijuana. And maybe, I guess, alcohol too. It was the era. And Mark started calling me an asshole. And I didn't take it well. I was not used to people saying that kind of shit to me. What do you mean? I'm a nice guy. I'm a great guy. I'm a supportive guy. I'm really a cool, what is this? He says, no, you're an asshole. And by the end of that evening, I got it. I got it to the point where I never had to get it at the S training. Because I already got it. That I'm an asshole. That what they break apart for you there is all the ways you avoid love, all the ways you try to keep up a face and keep looking good. They have you stand on a stage for 5 minutes and do nothing, just be. And you just see people going through all their stuff about posturing and worrying about how they look, and it was rough training, and then they have you go make amends to people. When you get it about what an asshole you are, you realize all the ways you've been blaming other people and setting up other people to be the bad guy. And I went out of there and I did it. Several of my graduate school faculty who we had been doing battle with the whole time, I went back and said, I get it now that I set it up for you to be a bad guy. I wanted you to be the bad guy, and I apologize. And Mel Zaks, who was the power broker in that place, he responded so perfectly. He sat back with his cigar. He says, well, I have to admit to a feeling of vindication. It was perfect. And I almost laughed because it was so perfect. Like, he didn't give an inch right to the end, Well, good. I'm glad you get it that you're an asshole, because you were. And then finally, I had to move back to Chicago, because my relationship with my mom was the one that was still too snagged. And I had to undo some of my blaming of her. So it was so big. S training. EST, Werner Erhard. Yeah. So I'm solidly, even as I'm so committed to affirmations. Oh, and they say, your kids know it. Your kids see it that you're an asshole. And so I was driving down the road. Somebody else was driving. And I say, Terry knows that I'm an asshole. He was like 5. And he just smirked. He just laughed like, I'm not supposed to acknowledge that. That's something. Yeah, obviously I get it that you're an asshole, but I can't say that. So I love myself completely, and I am solidly grounded in the principle that I am an asshole.